My parents told me they couldn't afford to take me on vacation. Then I saw my sister's kids in first class. I didn't say anything, but a week later, they weren't so happy anymore. I've always been the other sibling, not the one who gets praised or treated like the favorite, just there. My sister, Sarah, was the star, the perfect daughter, wife, and mom of 2 kids, the one my parents always went out of their way for. And me? I was Daniel, the responsible one who didn't ask for much, worked hard, paid bills, and always seemed to have extra money when someone in the family needed help. It started small. "Danny, can you help with the electricity bill this month?" my mom asked once. "Your dad and I are a little tight." I had just started my first job and was happy to help. Then my sister needed help too. "Liam needs braces, and it's so expensive." "I wouldn't ask, but I know you're doing well," she said on the phone. And so it went, helping with bills, fixing things that broke, and buying school supplies for my niece and nephew. "You're so lucky, Danny," my mom would say. "You don't have all these responsibilities like Sarah does." Lucky? That's what they called it. I told myself it was fine, it was family, and I wasn't struggling. No wife, no kids, no huge expenses. But there was one thing I always wanted to do: travel. I had dreamed of it for years, saving up, looking at destinations, imagining myself exploring places I'd only seen in pictures. But somehow, every time I was about to go, something would come up: a family emergency, a surprise expense, or a guilt trip. So when I finally booked my dream trip to Italy, paying for everything myself, I kept it to myself. It felt like my one selfish act, or so I thought. At the airport, waiting in the economy line, I heard my sister's voice. "No, Liam, put your backpack down. The seats are big, you don't need all that stuff." I turned and froze. Sarah, my niece and nephew, my parents, all in the priority boarding line, laughing and relaxed, dressed for their vacation in matching outfits, flying first class. For a moment, I thought I was imagining things: my parents, who said they couldn't afford a trip for me, my sister, who always said they were struggling. I took a deep breath. Maybe they had saved up for this. Maybe it was a miracle. Then I heard my mom laugh. "I still feel bad we couldn't take Danny," she said. "Please," Sarah snorted, "he wouldn't have fit in." Laughter. A pit formed in my stomach. I clenched my jaw and turned away as they boarded. I didn't say anything. I just watched them walk into first class, unaware that I had seen everything. In that moment, something inside me changed. I didn't text or call them. For the first time, I let the silence sit. Normally, I was the one checking in, making sure they didn't need anything, making sure my parents weren't struggling. But this time, nothing, and it felt good. My trip to Italy was everything I dreamed of: walking through ancient streets, sipping espresso in tiny cafes, standing in front of the Colosseum, knowing I had made it happen for myself. I should have been happy, and I was, but at night, sitting on my hotel balcony, watching the city lights flicker, I kept thinking about that moment at the airport. "He wouldn't have fit in." The words echoed in my head. It wasn't about the money, not really. It was the realization that my family didn't see me as one of them. They had been laughing at me. I wasn't their priority. I wasn't even an afterthought. A week later, when I got home, the calls started. First, my mom. "Hey sweetheart, how was your trip?" she asked, her voice overly cheerful. "It was great," I said flatly. "Oh, good, good. Listen, your father and I were wondering if you could help us out this month, with groceries. You know how things are." I let the silence stretch out. Then I laughed, a sharp, bitter laugh. "Groceries?" I repeated. "Like the ones you bought after flying first class?" Silence, then a nervous laugh. "Danny, that was different. We had some airline miles saved up, and Sarah found a good deal." "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't try to explain. You just didn't want to take me." I snapped. "You didn't want to." Silence. I could almost hear her trying to think of something to say. "We didn't think you'd mind," she stammered. I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "You didn't think I'd mind?" I said slowly. No apology, no guilt, just the casual realization that they never considered me. That was the moment I decided: no more bills, no more helping out, no more being the forgotten son who existed just to make their lives easier. 2 days later, my sister called. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the best of me. "What do you want, Sarah?" I said instead of hello. "Oh, so now you're too good to answer your own family?" she snapped. I smirked. First class must have really spoiled you. Oh my God, Danny, are you seriously mad about that? Grow up. I'm growing up, I said. That's why I'm done taking care of you. A pause. Then she switched to the voice she always used when she wanted something soft, sweet, manipulative. Danny, come on. You know how hard things are for us. You don't have kids. You don't have real expenses. It's different for you, right? And yet I still paid for Liam's soccer fees last month. Well, yeah, because you always do, she said, like it was obvious, like it was my job. Not anymore, I said simply. Another pause, then she laughed. Oh my God, she scoffed. You're actually serious. You're such a selfish little. I hung up. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. The silence didn't last long. By the next morning, my phone was flooded with missed calls and messages. First, my mom. Mom, Daniel, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is not okay. We're family, families help each other, call me back. Then my dad. Dad, son, don't be dramatic. You know your sister and the kids need your help, just be reasonable. Then Sarah. Sarah, are you actually ignoring mom and dad? Wow, you really think you're better than us now. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I got up, made myself a coffee, and sat on my couch in complete silence. Silence I hadn't had in years without someone asking me for something. It felt amazing. But by noon, the guilt-tripping turned into outright panic. Another call from my mother. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a text. Mom, Danny, please, we have a problem. I rolled my eyes. Another problem. Another crisis I was supposed to fix. Then another text. Mom, it's about the house. That got my attention. I sighed, debating whether to ignore it, but a small part of me still cared. So what now? I asked when I called. The moment she picked up, she sighed dramatically. Daniel, your father and I didn't want to worry you, but things have been tight and, well, we're behind on the mortgage. I pinched the bridge of my nose. And you're just telling me this now? She insisted they didn't want to bother me, but now, we need your help. Help? I scoffed. You mean you want me to pay it, just this month? She rushed to explain, just to keep us afloat until things settle. I leaned back. Kind of funny that you could afford first-class tickets but not your mortgage. Silence, then a sigh. It wasn't like that, Danny. It was exactly like that. I cut her off. You didn't think twice about spending money on Sarah's kids, but when it comes to your own son, suddenly there's nothing left. That's not fair. You don't understand what it's like to raise children, to have real responsibilities. You're right, I don't, I said coldly, because instead of having my own life, I was too busy taking care of yours. Silence, then, finally, in a much softer voice. Danny, we need you. And that was the truth. They needed me, not because they loved me, not because they valued me, but because without me, their entire house of cards came crashing down. I know, I said, but you're going to have to figure it out without me. Then I hung up, and this time, I didn't feel guilty at all. The aftermath. The next few days were oddly quiet. No texts, no calls, no sudden guilt trips. For the first time in years, I was completely free, but I knew it wouldn't last. Sure enough, on the third day, my sister showed up at my apartment. I heard the knocking before I even looked at my phone. Sarah, I called, open the door. I took my time getting up. I wasn't in a hurry to deal with her. When I finally opened it, Sarah barged in without waiting for an invitation. What is wrong with you? She hissed, slamming her purse onto my kitchen counter. Excuse me? I raised an eyebrow. You know exactly what I'm talking about, she snapped. Mom is losing her mind, Dad is freaking out, and now I'm stuck dealing with all of it because you decided to have a... I crossed my arms. You mean you're finally dealing with it for once? She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, don't be so dramatic. You know they need help. You're just punishing them because you're jealous. Jealous? I repeated, laughing in disbelief. Yes, Danny, this is about the trip, isn't it? You're mad because we didn't invite you, and now you're throwing a fit. I shook my head. You really don't get it, do you? Sarah scoffed. Oh please, enlighten me. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. It's not about the trip, Sarah. It's about the fact that for years I've been the one making sure this family stayed afloat. I've covered bills, helped with your kids, Paid for emergencies while you and mom and dad acted like I didn't exist unless you needed money. She crossed her arms. That's not true, is it? When was the last time mom called me just to check in, or dad asked how I was doing? The only time my phone rings is when one of you needs something. I let it happen because I thought that's what family does. But then I saw you all sitting in first class, laughing about how I wouldn't fit in. Her face paled. No, I continued, this isn't about the trip. It's about me realizing for the first time that I was never part of this family. I was just your safety net. And I'm done being that. Sarah's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. For the first time, she had no comeback. Finally, she grabbed her purse. Fine, she said slyly, do whatever you want, but don't come crawling back when you realize what a mistake you've made. I smiled. Don't worry, I said, I won't. She slammed the door on her way out, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. After Sarah's dramatic exit, I braced myself for the next round. My parents weren't the type to let things go easily, and I knew they'd try something soon. Sure enough, the next day my phone lit up with a message from my dad. Dad, Daniel, come over for dinner Sunday, we need to talk. I almost laughed. We need to talk was family code for we need you to do something for us, and you're going to say yes. I had fallen for it so many times before, not this time. I'm busy, I texted back. A minute later, my phone rang. I sighed, answering only out of curiosity. Daniel? My dad started, his voice firm but trying to sound reasonable. Enough is enough, you're acting childish. Am I? I said, leaning back on my couch. From where I'm sitting, I'm the only one acting like an adult. A pause, then he sighed. Son, you're making this harder than it needs to be. We're family, families don't abandon each other. Abandon? I repeated, you mean like how you abandoned me at the airport? Another pause. That wasn't fair, he said, we didn't mean anything by that. Maybe not, I said, but you didn't not mean it, either. Silence again, then, finally, a sharp exhale. Sarah's struggling, Danny, she needs help. I laughed. Oh, so now Sarah needs me? She's drowning? Mark's talking about selling the house. The kids don't understand what's happening. Not my problem, I interrupted calmly. I'm being completely reasonable for the first time in my life. Silence. A moment later, my father's voice turned cold. So that's it? You're just walking away? You walked away first, I reminded him, at the airport, remember? More silence. Finally, a bitter, clipped, fine. And he hung up. The final goodbye. That was the last time I ever heard from my father. I expected another round of begging from my mother, but it never came. Sarah stopped messaging me completely. A month later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Sarah and Mark had sold their house and moved into a smaller one. My parents had downsized too, forced to let go of the life they had been so comfortable in for so long. They had spent years pretending they were better than me, that they didn't need me, and now they had finally learned what life without me actually felt like. And I was free, not just from the financial burden, but from them. I didn't know them. My success, I didn't know them. My money, and I didn't know them. My forgiveness. So I took a deep breath, blocked their numbers, and never looked back. For the first time in my life, I was living for myself, and it felt incredible.